Hi and welcome. My name is Dawson Church. You're listening to High Energy Health. And what I do before I begin every one of these shows, and I just realized it's been, I think, 15 years now, it's been a long time. And I do something, a little ritual before I begin each show. That's I say to myself in my heart, I breathe, and I visualize you. And I've actually met a lot of people who listen over the years. And so I actually have met a lot of you in person. And then a lot of people listen who I don't know and haven't met, but I just center myself on my heart and visualize you and hold the highest intention for you, and also visualize you as part of this wonderful community of healing. I realize more and more and more that when we live in isolation, when we don't feel connected, it has really severe effects, long-term effects on our health. In fact, one key study by a researcher called Stephen Cole really caused a stir a few years back, studying my book, The Genie in Your Genes. And Cole found that a whole group of genes were epigenetically regulated by loneliness. When people were lonely, they felt no social connection. They didn't feel one with anything larger than themselves. They didn't have a sense of being part of a group, part of a conscious group of friends and people on the same path. That actually was affecting gene regulation in really dramatic ways. All kinds of aging markers were being affected, all kinds of immune markers, health markers. And there's some key markers if you look at in epigenetics. Two of them are immunity and inflammation. And what you want to see in this research is you want to see if you're doing all the right things, you'll see immunity going up and you'll see inflammation going down. And we've seen that now in study after study. Those two markers are such powerful ones. And he found that Stephen Cole and his research team found that loneliness was one of the most powerful regulators of gene expression. So with the pandemic and with all the social disruptions and lockdowns that have happened in the last little while, it hasn't been possible to get together in person as much. And yet we still can get together in consciousness. I know when I meditate in the morning, close my eyes and I let go of all my local programming, my local awareness, and drift off into non-local mind. And I feel one with a whole community of being, community of consciousness all over the world. And I have a couple of new products coming out next year, which you'll get a chance to sample soon. They aren't available yet, but I have a giant product launch coming out with Mind Valley, the largest transformational media company in the world, and it's called Mystic Brain. And I end each of the meditations in Mystic Brain, and I just point up like this, and I just say, I'll see you up there in meditation land. And I do feel that sense of connection with people because all over the world, every day, millions of people are meditating, and we're joining this community of consciousness where we are one, not just with each other in shared values of setting time aside for love and compassion and joy. We're actually attuning to something much greater than ourselves. In my books, I call that non-local mind. And from non-local mind, we download that sense of joy, that sense of resourcefulness, that creativity, that wisdom, that inspiration we don't otherwise have. So before each show, I just tune into my heart. I visualize you. I visualize us part of being something larger than ourselves. And it really then frames my experience during the day and frames our experience together during this hour. So I urge you to, as you're listening, be inspired, take away a lot of good ideas from today's hour, but also make sure you tune in to community as often as you need to. Tune in when you're having a few free moments during the day. Tune in certainly in meditation, and use the free meditations on my websites. Go to blissbrain.com. At blissbrain.com, you can download 8 free meditations, and we're showing in MRI trials these literally shape the structure and function of your brain. And it takes 28 days for an MRI to show dramatic changes to key areas of the brain. It doesn't take long doing those meditations on blissbrain.com. So go there, download the meditations, use these techniques, tune into everyone doing them all over the world every day, and then you are hooked up to something larger than yourself, community, and that influences your health. So I urge you to really take action and give yourself that gift of tuning into all of us there in meditation land and make it a daily practice to support yourself and your well-being. My guest today is Belinda Burnside, and Belinda plays a really important role in my life, and you'll discover how and why in a few moments. And she studied naturopathy and osteopathy in Australia. She lives and works in Petaluma, California for the last 12 years. She has a whole body approach to healing. She really looks at you, looks at her patients, looks at people's mobility, and assesses what their daily lives look like, what hobbies they have, what athletic performances are required of them in the course of their exercise routine. And then she works with the body systems and its innate intelligence to foster your joints moving freely, your pain to be minimized, your stiffness to go away, and to have fast recovery from all the demands that our lives place on us. I go to Belinda usually once a month if I can. She has a very busy schedule. It's actually quite hard to get an appointment with her. And I'm just so delighted to welcome you on the show, Belinda. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
It was so funny when I was reading your bio on your website. I realized that there are a lot of things I don't know about you. Of course, I know your healing gifts and talents. I know your qualifications, but I'm so curious as to what first drew you into the field of healing.
Well, I was raised in a very health conscious home, and my mother is a Solomon Islander, and the Solomon Islands still are a very remote part of the earth, and people are very isolated. They're in the South Pacific, thousands of islands spread out, and they live a very natural life with the tides, and it's very subsistence living. They would still be out deep in the villages, hunter-gatherers in a way, gardeners, and yet they're very happy because they have all their basic needs of life. And I spent every summer there with my Solomon Island family and living in nature and with the tides, and I think that was really my foundation for it.
And then, of course, you translated that into naturopathy, and that makes sense. And then how did the osteopathy part come in? Or just first of all, just explain to us, for those who don't know what an osteopath is, what that field does.
The osteopathic practice is based on 4 principles: that the body is a whole, the body is capable of self-healing, and that your structure, your anatomy, is related to your function, your physiology, and treatment is based on that. And it's a little confusing, I think, here in America, because it's merged somewhat with the medical profession, so that there are DOs, doctors of osteopathy, who practice similarly to an MD. So what I would be considered a traditional osteopath here, following the 100% hands-on approach.
And I got 3 of them: the body as a whole, the body is capable of self-healing, structure is based on function. What was the 4th of those big ideas?
Treatment is based on those 3 that you just said. We apply the treatment based on those 3 principles. And that is the 4th principle.
Okay. And
treatment.
Then what drew you into that field?
Well, so within it, yes. So I was saying about with the naturopathy and my grandmother and aunts using the herbal medicine, and then I found out that was a field of study, and I did that, and I was working as a naturopath. And while I was still studying naturopathic medicine, I started doing Taoist Tai Chi. And the principles are very similar. At that point, I didn't even know about osteopathy or what osteopathy was, but the principles were the body as a whole, the body is self-healing, that your internal, it's like it's considered an internal art. So the movements you do, massage your organs, and I studied Taoism and Taoist Tai Chi, and just, there is a real overlap in the principle. And I have just happened to read some little blurb about osteopathy one day, and it was a light bulb moment. It literally like hit me, like, I have to study this. And recently I was just reading the biography of the founder of osteopathy, A.T. Still. He founded and here in the United States, in Kirksville, Missouri. And I was reading some of his quotes, and I was thinking, he is he's like really Taoist in his approach, and it comes from that. And Dr. Still developed osteopathy from this deep observation of nature, and that's how the ancient Taoists came up with a lot of their observations and writings. Was this lifelong observation of nature.
Yeah, it's so interesting how all these old systems like acupuncture and meridian, the idea of the meridians and some of the other energy systems are so ancient, and they are derived from observation. And of course, before we had instrumentation, we had observation of the natural world. And so what I do sometimes, just to mess with people's minds in a live workshop, Linda, I pull out an old Chinese acupuncture chart, and we see all this very strange looking Mandarin over there, 2,000 years old, with these lines running through his body. It's always a he for some reason, never a she. But see all these, these 365 or so points on the body, these meridian lines. Then I pull out a galvanometer, a little instrument that measures charge on the skin. I get a volunteer from the audience, and then I put my hand on their shoulder or on their hand or someplace where I can make a circuit with their skin, and I run this galvanometer over their skin. There's no response until I hit an acupuncture point. When it starts beeping like crazy, a light starts flashing. I move it a millimeter away, that stops. And so now we can use instrumentation to see these points and measure these energies. But I'm just so awed by these ancient sages, like thousands of years ago. They could actually read the body's energies like in a way which we just aren't trained to do today.
Mm-hmm. And I think that again, back to nature, I think that we are more disconnected from nature and the natural world. So we've perhaps lost some of that ability.
Yeah, and so I'm curious. Now, when you work on me, I can feel things shifting, and you don't do any kind of really dramatic adjustments. It's not like a chiropractic adjustment where you hear snap, crackle, pop.
I didn't know how to do those type of adjustments. I have found, like, over the decade of working with my hands, that the more skilled I get with my hands, the more gentle I need to be, that the body, listen on these deeper layers.
Interesting. So the less physical force you need, the more as you work on those deeper layers.
Yeah, and then the teachings and the studies of osteopathy by some of the greats, as we would say in osteopathy, had started going that way. Anyway, like William Sutherland, who is the osteopath who came up with the craniosacral concept. A lot of people are familiar with the craniosacral therapy. He actually, his teachings, as he got deeper and deeper into his deep understanding of the cerebrospinal fluid, and was to observe that health, that self-healing mechanism, to observe it without interrupting it. And then there's something in that interface of the practitioner observing and holding that space, and then the body's the inner therapeutics.
Wow. So it's the practitioner holding the space, noticing the flows, and that then actually stimulates the body to balance itself or restore itself.
Yeah, it's like it is like a communication with that inner intelligence and self-healing intelligence of the body, which isn't the same as like our mental intelligence, that there is that underlying intelligence there.
Wow. Yeah. And, again, approaching the body with respect for that rather than trying to manipulate it from the outside is so powerful. And so I'd love to have you in each segment of the show just share a story or two of people you worked with and how that subtle level intervention has made a big difference in their material life. I know, when I first came to you, I had a lot of back pain, and with both working with you and also starting to use a built-up shoe again, my back pain has gone away. We worked with my wife on her rotator cuff injury, and that's made a huge difference. So I'd love you to share each segment too, a couple of stories of people who just working on these subtle levels saw dramatic improvements?
Well, just an example about that with subtle craniosacral work is someone with like a bite discrepancy, where they've had their teeth doesn't meet properly, and then you get tension in the jaw. They've gone to the dentist, had teeth filed back, and many dental visits, and then just balancing out that cranial mechanism and those fine, tiny movements that are present in the cranium and the upper neck, and as soon as they get off the table, they can feel that their bite feels good, like it connects, and there's less tension in the jaw. Headaches is something I work with a lot. People that have had headaches for sometimes decades, that resolve headaches and migraines with normalizing where the flow is and the alignment of the body.
And then how do you perceive that flow?
How do I perceive that flow? The languaging, I always find the languaging tricky, because it is a perception for me. Well, it's definitely that what we call palpation. So palpation is that ability to feel through our hands. Every single person that has hands has it. You touch something, you can feel the texture, the hot, cold, pressure. So we all have that. And then as osteopaths, we develop that sense of touch and then that palpation. However, sense, like our senses, we're taught in school, there's 5 senses, sight, hearing, taste, touch. There are more than 5 senses, and even beyond like the 6th sense, like the psychic sense, there's a lot of sensors. We are a sensory being. So I'm listening with my hands, and sometimes I perceive it. Sometimes I actually perceive it in my own body. Like I'll suddenly like feel something in my body. Like even if it's a person's pain, I'll suddenly get this sharp pain in my sacroiliac joint, something, go, and then I'll move my hands to there. And that's not, traumatic for me or anything, because I know it's not mine, and it's just information, and I work with it. So sometimes it's like that. Sometimes I even see like colors, like it's visual. Sometimes it's just literally like the flow in the body that I'm perceiving and moving with it and listening that way. It's different. It's just different. But those are the ways, and it's different. Each person really is unique. It's not, there's no formula per se.
So you're both listening to their body and their field, and at the same time, you're also listening to your body and your field. And so that conversation is giving you the information to actually figure out where to intervene. We're going to go to a break right now, but I'd like to invite you to go to Belinda's website, which is Nimbus, NIMBUS, equine, EQUINE, and we'll talk when we come back after break about the equine part of it as well, and more about energies, flows of energy in your body, and also how energy methods can help you heal. You're listening to High Energy Health. My name is Dawson Church. We'll be right back after a break.
Dawson Church's award-winning book, Mind to Matter, has been hailed as one of the best science and health books of the decade. Over 400 studies show that your brain has the ability to turn thoughts to things, and that when you use the superpower deliberately, you can create an extraordinary life. Mind to Matter is the science and practice of how our brains create reality, and Dawson is so committed to helping people transform that he's giving copies of the book away free at mindtomatter.com. Claim your free copy at mindtomatter.com now. Imagine your love life, your health, your money, your career, your spiritual path. If you had the ability to turn your dreams into reality, the people who have discovered how to do this are master manifestors. Now you can learn their secrets at mastermanifestor.com. They'll give you a 21-day crash course in intuition, synchronicity, and manifestation. In just 7 minutes each day, the experts at mastermanifestor.com will train your brain to be like theirs. mastermanifestor.com. There's a completely natural method to help boost your immune system, maybe even up to 113% in a week. If you're interested in saving money without supplements and other expensive remedies, then explore the 7-Day Immunity Booster Program. It includes 7 powerful audio programs. 2 clinical trials even show that these methods can help increase your body's immunity naturally. So visit StressDump.com and find out how you can boost your immune system. That's StressDump.com. StressDump.com. Imagine having a certified wellness professional at your service 24/7. Whenever you're stressed, anxious, angry, sleepless, or depressed, you get help the moment you need it. You can talk to a compassionate practitioner anytime you want at MyStressSolution.com. In the Stress Solution app, trained experts are standing by when you need them most. Experience a free introductory session at MyStressSolution.com. You never have to face your problems alone. Get instant help at MyStressSolution.com. Helping other people heal is deeply satisfying. Watching a child's pain disappear before your eyes, a loved one calming down after a panic attack, or a veteran recovering from PTSD is a wonderful feeling. Imagine yourself with the skills and confidence to help people every single day and a rewarding career in energy healing. Taught by expert faculty, you'll become skilled in techniques validated in over 1,000 scientific studies. So get certified as an energy psychology professional today at www.newhealer.com. Your first course is free at www.newhealer.com.
Hello and welcome back to High Energy Health. I'm your host, Dawson Church, and each week on the show, I bring you the leading edge of health and well-being. Each week on the show, you bring yourself here and learn new things, get inspired, hear about science, hear about healing. And I'm just so wildly excited to be part of this whole field of consciousness, field of endeavor, field of awareness, and see it changing. I believe we're in the midst of a massive seismic tectonic change in healing and healthcare. And I go into that a little bit at the end of my book, Bliss Brain, just all the ways in which this is changing. And also, I'm working on a new book next year on the big picture and how human society and civilization is changing as a result of this, and has been changing for the last several hundred years in a remarkable way. So you can pick up a copy of Bliss Brain at the website blissbrain.com. Also, please visit Belinda's website at Nimbus Equine, E-Q-U-I-N-E, like in horses, nimbusequine.com. So Belinda, I know you have done this work with horses, and there's a whole branch of acupuncture for horses, which I didn't even know existed up to a few years ago. So just share with us what that whole field's about.
Well, they really are beasts of burden, and it is said that horses evolved us too. You know, we developed faster transportation and farming methods, and now it's primarily companionship and pleasure. And actually, horses are healing too. They're healing us in many ways. And a lot of the horses I work with are performance horses. So they're athletes. They carry a rider on their back, and they're asked to do very specific tasks, movements, and they need to be balanced and mobile and pain-free also.
I know that I see these charts of their energy flows and their energy points, and that presumably shifting their energy is going to have an effect on their bodies as well, in the same way that an osteopathic treatment of a human being would have. So where do people get this data on those?
I know, because you mentioned acupuncture, and when I was studying osteopathy for animals, we did have someone lecture to us about acupuncture and horses, and the chart for the horse meridians did come from the human chart, so it was superimposed, and as well as like the techniques and the knowledge and the information came from working with humans. And with osteopathy, it's all about knowing anatomy. So working with the horse's anatomy and physiology, so what their function is and their form and their anatomy, and again, bringing that into alignment and movement, freeing up movement balancing that right and left, front and back, top and bottom.
And then how do you get called in to work with a horse? Does the owner notice that something is off with them? Or what would trigger a consultation?
Yeah, an owner or a trainer or a vet will recognize that they're not moving easily to the left as compared to the right, or they're suddenly refusing work, or they're tossing their head, or there's certain responses that a horse will do that are painful responses if you check along their spine, and or they like you have to clean their hooves every day to get the mud and dirt out so that they're balanced, and sometimes a horse will suddenly not want to pick their foot up, so that's a sign. There's lots of little signs. Horses are, people often say, oh, I wish they could talk, and they do communicate, obviously not in words, but there's all these little subtleties that you pick up that is a form of communication from them.
Wow. So when you're, obviously you can't lay them down on a table the way you do with humans and actually use manipulation of their joints, what do you do?
They're standing is their natural state. So they stand, and then like with a person, sometimes when you're doing a manipulation, you position their body a certain way. Whereas with the horse, like I would position my body and use my positioning and where my hands and arms are as a vector to their joint or muscle.
So you are actually applying some pressure there.
Sometimes. I mean, I do both. I do direct pressure, or I do the craniosacral work as well. I mean, as an osteopath, we learn literally hundreds of techniques for every part of the body, and then we apply according to what's presenting to us in the moment.
And then do you see energy sometimes or colors around horses as well as human beings?
Yeah, I don't really see the colors. I never thought about that till you just asked it just now. No, I do feel it in my body sometimes. They're such subtle creatures. Even though they're big and strong and powerful, they're really sensitive and subtle. So I really do perceive it and sense it mostly through my hands. And through my hands and how their bodies, and I'm also actually really watching with my eyes when I'm treating a horse and how their body is responding moment to moment in the treatment with the changes that I'm feeling under my hands, because everything really responds all at once in a horse.
Wow. I'm just trying to picture that, because they're such enormous beings. I was with my wife at Mirabel Spa in Arizona a couple of years ago, and they have a whole horse whisperer training there, and they train people to come there and get equine therapy and also just to relate to the horses. And there's this official guy who's like the horse whisperer at Mirabel, and I remember going there and like we were again being trained to just pick up the horse's hoof and clean the hoof, and everyone else could do it and I couldn't, and they said that I was just too nice, too gentle. No, the horse would not cooperate with me, and then what I tried, he cooperated with everyone else but not me.
I think he was trying to tell you something, not sure what, but something.
So yeah, he clearly was not reading my subtle energies, but
I think he might have even, horses are healers, and he might have even been protecting you, Dawson. I mean, I wasn't there, but you're very tall, and for you to bend over and hold his leg up, that would have been a little bit of a strain on your back, and that horse might actually have been helping you out there.
Wow. Wow. I animal human encounters too are so special. I know I have several grandchildren, and just watching them when they're really young and having that encounter with whatever it might be. I took them to a place this last weekend, and they had a chance to spend time with calves and cows. There was some ground squirrels there. There were several other kinds of animals, and like them looking into the eye of a cow. And cows are these huge, big brown eyes, and like the youngest grandchild's a year old, and watching this baby, looking at these big eyes, and it was clear she was having this like real explosion of understanding and consciousness about being close to another being. It was so exciting, Belinda, to have that encounter. I'm sure that we have those encounters and we can foster those encounters. And I know that in my case, it really enriched us. We're going to go to a break right now. My name is Dawson Church. You're listening to High Energy Health. For more on Belinda's work, go to her website, Nimbus Equine, EQUINE.com, nimbusequine.com. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back after a break.
Dawson Church's award-winning book, Mind to Matter, has been hailed as one of the best science and health books of the decade. Over 400 studies show that your brain has the ability to turn thoughts to things, and that when you use this superpower deliberately, you can create an extraordinary life. Mind to Matter is the science and practice of how our brains create reality, and Dawson is so committed to helping people transform that he's giving copies of the book away free at mindtomatter.com. Claim your free copy at mindtomatter.com now. Imagine your love life, your health, your money, your career, your spiritual path. If you had the ability to turn your dreams into reality, the people who have discovered how to do this are master manifestors. Now you can learn their secrets at mastermanifestor.com. They'll give you a 21-day crash course in intuition, synchronicity, and manifestation. In just 7 minutes each day, the experts at mastermanifestor.com will train your brain to be like theirs. mastermanifestor.com. There's a completely natural method to help boost your immune system, maybe even up to 113% in a week. If you're interested in saving money without supplements and other expensive remedies, then explore the 7-Day Immunity Booster Program. It includes 7 powerful audio programs. 2 clinical trials even show that these methods can help increase your body's immunity naturally. So visit StressDump.com and find out how you can boost your immune system. That's StressDump.com. StressDump.com. Imagine having a certified wellness professional at your service 24/7. Whenever you're stressed, anxious, angry, sleepless, or depressed, you get help the moment you need it. You can talk to a compassionate practitioner anytime you want at MyStressSolution.com. In the Stress Solution app, trained experts are standing by when you need them most. Experience a free introductory session at MyStressSolution.com. You never have to face your problems alone. Get instant help at MyStressSolution.com. Helping other people heal is deeply satisfying. Watching a child's pain disappear before your eyes, a loved one calming down after a panic attack, or a veteran recovering from PTSD is a wonderful feeling. Imagine yourself with the skills and confidence to help people every single day and a rewarding career in energy healing. Taught by expert faculty, you'll become skilled in techniques validated in over 1,000 scientific studies. So get certified as an energy psychology professional today at www.newhealer.com. Your first course is free at www.newhealer.com.
Hello and welcome back. My name is Dawson Church, and you're listening to High Energy Health. As you can tell, I love doing this show. I love sharing with you. I love being here every week. I love spending time this way. And it's wonderful to affirm our sense of community, our sense of being, and share these exciting health breakthroughs. They literally can shift your life. Many times before the show, I've mentioned the landmark study of 30,000 people that showed that optimists live, on average, 10 years yet longer than pessimists. Just your mind, just your attitude, just your mood can literally trigger a whole bunch of epigenetic changes in your cells that lead to a much longer lifespan. So it's worth getting inspired here and then bring these ideas into practice in your life. So whether you meditate, whether you tap, whether you spend time in nature, whether you find a really wonderful healer to work with you, it's worth taking this information and taking action on it. For more on Belinda's work, go to her website, which is nimbusequine.com. And to get a copy of my new book, Bliss Brain, go to the website blissbrain.com. During the break, Belinda and I were talking about being close to nature and also the energy of a practitioner. I'd love to explore those two themes in this segment. And so maybe the practitioner one first, Belinda, that you were saying when you are when you're the patient, when you work with a practitioner, you can feel their energy from the very beginning. Just share with us about that and how that plays an important role in the healing encounter.
So, well, as a practitioner, it's really important, our intention in the moment, and the words we say, and I often feel that in my practice that's a gift that I give to people, is, and it is practicing osteopathy, because Dr. Still, the founding father of osteopathy, said it's up to the osteopath to see the health. Like any physician, anyone can find the disease, can see the disease, and the osteopath needs to see the health. And that's what I do, and that's what I speak to the person, and that's what I practice. And I see how important that is in how it's reflected back, and people are encouraged. And a doctor's words are powerful, and they can create so much hope or so much fear, and that's a big part of healing.
Yeah. And when you choose somebody, choosing a healing team, members of a healing team that reflect that is so important. And I encourage people to apply that lens of perspective to both alternative health, natural health, and conventional health. Like, you want a doctor and a nurse who is really kind and caring and tuned in, and whose energy is good. So your whole healing team should reflect that energy. You were talking a minute ago on the break about being energy sensitive. Tell us more about that too.
Did I say energy sensitive?
Yeah, being sensitive to, in terms of being treated when you're working with someone.
To the person. I don't think I said energy sensitive. I'm just sensitive to the whole person. Like, it's always about the whole, and just to who I'm with, and how, I guess, what their intention is, or even their thoughts. And I think what it boils down to is, if someone's being really present with you, in the moment, they're being present, like you and I right now, and you're being really present. We're being present with each other, and listening and communicating, and as we know, there's so much of communication is non-verbal, and I think that's it. Is someone able to be really present with you as a person, without all this other noise and thoughts, and wandering your mind off to what you're going to have for lunch or something. I already had lunch. I made sure I had lunch before coming to talk to you today, so I could be present.
Yeah, you want to make sure people have those competencies, that they do know how to diagnose, do know how to treat, do know how to prescribe, do know when to taper. All those bits of knowledge is really important in the medical profession, and yet it rides on that level of attention, of presence, of intention. And so if you have someone who has both.
Yes, and that's what my mentor that I studied with, Dr. James Jealous, he passed away in February, in the biodynamic osteopathic field, and he used to say, don't worry, all your knowledge is there. It's all there. It's all there to fall back on.
And so there's that substrate of knowledge back there in the background, and you can be with the person in the foreground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've done years and years and years of study, and I still study. I study continually, and there's continuing education, and that's all there. But in the moment, I'm present with the person.
Yeah, you can really feel that. I know, as someone you work with, I can really feel that, and it's wonderful to go into that sanctuary of presence and attention. I think it's true too for me, Belinda, in other relationships as well. Like for me, when I just finished a marketing meeting, for example, with our marketing company, and just really tuning into the people in the meeting, and then tuning into my wife, tuning into my grandchildren and children and other people around me. So that gift of presence, healthcare is not exempt from that requirement.
Yes, that unfortunately, let's not go down that rabbit hole, but yes, healthcare and doctors, and how pressed they are for time, and and a lot of what is imposed upon a physician in, even like you mentioned Kaiser in the break. It's all about certain other values, right? Having that in place, and there's sometimes that presence is lost, which is why there is such an explosion in holistic medicine and alternative medicine, and people seeking that out, because that's where they're getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the average doctor visit is around 9 minutes, whereas you spend an hour with your patients. How did you come to that time frame of an hour?
It's interesting, because I sometimes do half-hour treatments, and when I was in Australia, I used to do on the half hour, and then I found that well, part of it's practical. I don't have a receptionist, and we do the scheduling and all that. That's a piece of it, and then the charting and all that. But I just found that life is really busy, and it is a chance for people. What I've just observed, that people get to really, it takes time for people's systems, people's nervous systems. We're just bombarded with so much busyness and information, and it's like, then it finally just gets to, I like going slow like that, and we talked about the Solomon Islands, and that's actually called the islands lost in time. And even people that go to Hawaii, they say like island time, and it's that. I feel like that's part of it. It's like, I don't want to rush people out. I just want to slow down. I just want us all to slow down.
And the byproduct is you get a chance to slow down too. You aren't rushed, and you have probably much lower stress level. Like and when I see you, you don't look stressed to me. Maybe you're hiding it well, but but you look pretty relaxed.
I'm happy to see you, Dawson.
I'm glad. Whereas the people I usually see at Kaiser are generally,
yeah. I remember one time in Australia, when I was living there, and I went to a doctor's appointment, and she was running late, and I was waiting, and it was fine. She got me in, and she sat me down. She was like, I could just see it in her face, and she was stressed. And then I went, "How are you?" And she paused, and she did a deep breath and a big sigh, and the energy completely shifted. And she replied, honestly, she said something like, "Oh, busy," or something, but it just changed everything, like just giving her that little moment to pause. Yeah,
and tune in. I know I start and end every visit to my doctor, which is usually once a year, with a hug. There he is. I just love seeing him. He enjoys seeing me, and so it's a really a deep human connection. We're going to go to a break right now, but please stay tuned. You're listening to High Energy Health. My name is Dawson Church. I'm chatting today with Belinda Burnside. You can see more about her at her website, nimbusequine.com. And for a copy of my new book, actually, you can get the book for free at blissbrain.com. You pay shipping and handling, but not only is the book free, but there are 8 free meditations there. So all of that's at blissbrain.com, and we'll be back for a closing segment in a couple of minutes. So please stay tuned, and thank you.
Dawson Church's award-winning book, Mind to Matter, has been hailed as one of the best science and health books of the decade. Over 400 studies show that your brain has the ability to turn thoughts to things, and that when you use this superpower deliberately, you can create an extraordinary life. Mind to Matter is the science and practice of how our brains create reality, and Dawson is so committed to helping people transform that he's giving copies of the book away free at mindtomatter.com. Claim your free copy at mindtomatter.com now. Imagine your love life, your health, your money, your career, your spiritual path. If you had the ability to turn your dreams into reality, the people who have discovered how to do this are master manifestors. Now you can learn their secrets at mastermanifestor.com. They'll give you a 21-day crash course in intuition, synchronicity, and manifestation. In just 7 minutes each day, the experts at mastermanifestor.com will train your brain to be like theirs. mastermanifestor.com. There's a completely natural method to help boost your immune system, maybe even up to 113% in a week. If you're interested in saving money without supplements and other expensive remedies, then explore the 7-Day Immunity Booster Program. It includes 7 powerful audio programs. 2 clinical trials even show that these methods can help increase your body's immunity naturally. So visit StressDump.com and find out how you can boost your immune system. That's stressdump.com. Stressdump.com. Imagine having a certified wellness professional at your service 24/7. Whenever you're stressed, anxious, angry, sleepless, or depressed, you get help the moment you need it. You can talk to a compassionate practitioner anytime you want at mystresssolution.com. In the Stress Solution app, trained experts are standing by when you need them most. Experience a free introductory session at mystresssolution.com. You never have to face your problems alone. Get instant help at mystresssolution.com. Helping other people heal is deeply satisfying. Watching a child's pain disappear before your eyes, a loved one calming down after a panic attack, or a veteran recovering from PTSD is a wonderful feeling. Imagine yourself with the skills and confidence to help people every single day and a rewarding career in energy healing. Taught by expert faculty, you'll become skilled in techniques validated in over 1,000 scientific studies. So get certified as an energy psychology professional today at www.newhealer.com. Your first course is free at www.newhealer.com.
Hello and welcome back to High Energy Health. I'm your host, Dawson Church, and each week on the show, I share with you the leading edge of health, well-being, and happiness. And there's so much to be grateful for. There's so much to be aware of that supports and nurtures us. Just taking your breath. I know some days I sit there, I've been doing a little practice called 100 conscious breaths, and just breathing consciously 100 times will really help you settle into your body and settle into the moment. So whatever you do to bring yourself into the present moment, get out of the future, get out of the past, come to the now, is well worth doing. We have lots of tips and techniques on the show too. So please do join us every week. We love to have you fill your mind and your life with these inspiring ideas. One of the things we talked about earlier was, Belinda, you're growing up in the Solomon Islands, and this whole concept now in psychology has actually been this diagnosis proposed called nature deficit disorder, where a lot of kids are growing up, they're in a concrete jungle, and even if they're not in a concrete jungle, they are not having much contact with nature. And I remember my daughter when she was like 7, 8, or 9, sitting in the backseat of the car with a friend of hers, and they were having a conversation via text. They were texting each other in the backseat. That's because it's all glued to their screens, or the screen time takes over. Play doesn't mean playing outside, it means playing a video game. So you had this gift of growing up in the Solomon Islands and being so close to nature. Just share with us what that gave you.
And I will say, I have noticed when I treat people that say live in the country or on a property, it's different. Like their system responds differently than someone who lives in a city. The nervous system is bombarded with so much, just that appreciation of the natural world and space and the tides, and that is a concept in osteopathy, and in the cranial concept is the tide. And there's the tide, that flow of cerebral spinal fluid and all our bodily fluids, and as things fluctuate. So for me, when I'm thinking about that, when I'm palpating that, when I'm even reading about it, when I'm in an osteopathic class or lecture, I actually think about it physically from being in the tides and in the ocean, and I think that does inform me a lot.
Yeah, and seeing that person's body as part of nature, and the tides in their body.
Absolutely. And that's another concept in osteopathy is the breath of life. It's like life. Like, what is life? Life is breathing through us. Life is motion, and
motion, and our bodies are just undergoing all these processes in every moment, and it's just amazing how they all happen below the level of our conscious mind. It's just without us having to remember to digest, remember to pump our hearts. All these things just happening. Like every cell is going through 100,000 processes every second. It's just amazing, and all this is happening totally below the level of our conscious awareness. So we are miracles in that way.
Miraculous, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that whole phenomenon of being disconnected with nature is really something which I think is going to affect a human being, especially if it persists for a long time, if for many, many years they're not plugging into nature, it's really going to affect them. And I'm so curious that you find that people who live like on a farm in the country, a lot of people here in Petaluma where we live are like that. And
I think
yeah.
movement too, and talking about movement, I think that's probably a piece of it too. You're just naturally going to be out there. And I mean, speaking of horses, I really noticed that I treat a lot of equestrians, that equestrians, their bodies, they're just physically and mentally strong because it's that constant movement. You have to do a lot of movement to be around a horse, to practice that equestrian sport, to just be feeding your horse and caring for your horse. And even though a lot of them have injuries, like serious injuries, that they've fractured pelvises and had head injuries, they recover and they're just strong and vital and vibrant and healthy because they keep moving.
So even if you do get injured, you'll recover quicker if you're doing this. I know I've been focusing for the last while on getting in 2 exercise bursts every day. So in the morning, in the afternoon, I spend 20, 30, 40 minutes, and I just I'll go out for mountain biking, I'll go out kayaking, I'll go out for a walk, I'll do exercise bands, I'll do something to do that, because it's so easy just to settle in and get sedentary. So what do you personally find most useful
In regards to exercise?
movement?
Well, I think it has to be what a person enjoys. They say that walking is one of the best exercises. It is what we're upright. Most other animals are on 4 limbs. We're an upright animal, and we were designed to walk. Walking is good. And talk about nature. I mean, that's easy to go and walk in nature. And even if you're not in nature, even if you're outside, like there's the trees, there's just find a tree, the sky, things like that. Swimming's great. Swimming can be so great for so many things, but you have to enjoy swimming and know how to swim. It just depends what people just have to find joy in it.
Absolutely. And the only wrong answer is not doing any of it. So do something. Whatever brings you joy is good. And then make sure you're picking something. Even just being outside. There's been some studies now, this phenomenon in Japan called nature bathing, where people forest bathing, where people go into the forest, and showing that epigenetic changes happen. But one cool study published 2 years ago showed that people like in New York City or Tokyo, if they just went to Central Park or went into a park and spent a little bit of time there, those same epigenetic shifts were happening as those people going forest bathing. So
exactly, because there's trees, there's birds, there's sky.
Yeah, it doesn't take making some kind of grand commitment to hiking to the top of the mountain or having a big expedition, just basic engagement with nature. And then just in the last couple of minutes, Belinda, what other really essential practices do you use in your life that you find are contributors to your health?
Well, I mentioned getting into osteopathy via Taoist Tai Chi. So I do that. That has been a practice since I was 19 years old. And that really, it nourishes the joints, those movements, and massages the internal organs. And yeah, that's a big one for me. And I do like yoga and I do want to say rest. You're talking about how I take the time with people. It's a deep rest when people are lying there and they get to drop in and lie there for a little longer than just a half hour. And I think, talk about nature deficit. I feel like in this modern culture, there's a deficit of rest, and people are just driven to just go and accomplish and rest. People often say to me, what do you do on the weekends? As I do, I like rest. I just feel so good when I've just been able to stop and to rest and relax and not do.
Yeah, and for us, used to being busy at work and then with our families, when we have time alone, we often just busy ourselves that way too.
And it's nice and it's fun. But one of my favorite things to do, and I don't really do it here so much because the beach is cold, but I just love to lie on a warm beach, lie on the sand in the sun and by the ocean. Oh, I love to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and wherever you can do that, there are lots of places to do it, even inland. So you find a river, you can find a stream, you can find a pond near you, and do that. Belinda, it's been such a pleasure to really get a window into your world in this way. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
What a joy. And when I see you next, I'll know a lot more about you than I knew before. Thank you. And thank you everyone who's listening, because you listening, you being here is a real commitment to your health and your well-being. We'll have more next week. Thanks for being here. All the best till then.